Hi, welcome to the first and last poetry reading series. And today we have Marcia Carp, Tam Lin Neville, and Bert Stern. So I'm very excited to hear them read tonight. And thank you everybody for coming. And so our first reader is Marcia Carp. Her new collection is If by Song by Lily Poetry Review Press. She has poems and translations in the Times Literary Supplement, Harvard Review, The Guardian, Catullus in English, and Petrarch in English, Penguin Books, The Word Exchange, Norton, and Joining Music with Reason, 34 Poets, Oxford, in 2004 to 2009, Waywiser. And I give you Marcia.
Thank you. I'm just going to start reading. Erratatum. I knew a drummer when I was a girl, and he was a man who told me his rat-a-tat-tat. They'd never had anything like me, he said, ensnared not from love, but from art among their beaten men. Though we kissed after hot dogs and tasted of mustard, his rolls and his flams and his tattoos never sounded between us, the girl from one side, the man from the other of town. He's still a man, if still he is. I'm now a woman in grief for her art. My tittle, my jot have been scraped from my song. They are mine and are perfect, stolen, my leash sheep, my grace notes, my ruffles. I've always remembered that man from our vinegar kiss and his report, not the first, but the first I'd heard as he brushed by in kindness my life, of unmuffled madness from art, that if I dare master the Rata-McHugh might be mine. Don Juan in Hell. It's a thing nobody talks about, or at least not many do. He wants and she will, but he can't. And oh God, all the trying and faking to hide that it's trying. He can't forget it, and she wishes he'd fix it himself, or leave off in shame, or learn to talk dirty, or credit her kindness to him. But he just has directions to give and is no longer the man she agreed to. Then he says it's not her, and he'll need some weeks to relax, and it's always like this with a new one. But meanwhile, if only she didn't take such pleasure in the small things at a time like this. Nobody says, except for him who never has nothing to say. She mustn't let on, though it's time after time. The one thing they do well together is ride in his car. It's leather inside with the champion's kick, and she's learned to hold it and scold it on those small time roads he thinks make him a man of the people. While he snoozes, his yakking switch now into blustering snorts, and his hand on hers on the stick, a weakling's and no great shakes to her or the gearbox. She can make the thing walk, trot, and tit up, then rear up and charge, and she whinnies full throttle as the car hugs the roads. Beheld. When ugly woman catches sight of beauty in her face and is thrown into gladness, mightn't even you feel inclined to believe that optical imps on the other side of the glass depict our backward world for us, and that the woman sees next, that beauty blurring, is the quivering and silly glee of the erring imps enjoying the fast one they hadn't meant to pull. Not what she on her side takes for a folly made out through tears deeply drawn. I won't mind it then. I won't mind it if at the last I overhear in the room, will you, do you think, get another Marcia when this one is? Because no matter the quiet or the not now, can't you see that follows, I would then be someone with someone who loves me enough to want in the moment if appetite returns, that then, just then in mid-hum I would die, so I'd be part of a both, be sorry I was dead, not wrung out of sorrow by the diapering, slobbering, gibbering mess of the long overdue. They are not us, nor we them. As if we haven't wanted for ourselves their special gifts, as if defiance were not in their falls, they walk off branches, on, then off, upon, then boom, they drop, then walk upon our ground. They laugh, cheep, cheep, at our green eyes, as if a magic hand sluiced round and touched each one of them, a touch, please, please, we each one aimed at us. They up, wheel, gather, fly, bye-bye, from us, who lumber in our jealous flight machines. Then some of us are providence, and some, boom, of us provender. Mercy. Did you know? Do you remember now the rat race? Honest, disinterested God in that lab coat and stinky meats to send us amazed of scurry. The first shall be first and the last shall go hungry or hang was the theme. Not a God for all time, that clipboarded watcher, and too antiseptic for ours. Mounted now each on the God who is God of the gods. The tune is on vengeance, on destiny, jip, and a brutal whip hand on the flank of each courser. At the races, no doubts, and the rich have the right of way, and the poor are left the dust. Never mind. One of the old gods was born as a winnow wind, and each of us blew towards some runnel to outrace the flood of our lives. It was good for the gods and remains so. The first should be best, for the rest are as beasts. Oh, I was a one. Oh, I was the one who, had I but been there, I would have done all that doing that would have been needed to be done. Oh, I would have, I tell you, been the one to say, no, to do the right and the noble, clean hands, oh, clean heart, in my doing the deeds for the land, for the folk, for the highest of reason. Oh, I, had I only been there. Now here there's a wolf crying wolf, sounding all about. Still I raise no axe, I raise no horn, I raise no cry to shout the chaos out. Oh, how can I ever be face to my face again now, knowing what I know about me? What is left? We think it is new. We are so afraid. We think there has never been, ever been a thing like our thing, so we are so afraid. Just think, a village rapes a girl, a village burns a man. Here is the maelstrom, here is the horror. People we like are like people we don't. It is our turn to live it and not know what hit us. It is our turn for mayhem that droppeth as rain.
It is our turn to cry we are virtue's last bastion, while mayhem and help us turn us into them. She is 12 and they rape that girl over and over. That collar of tire, which then becomes fire, is fitted by many hands to one neck. Nobody taught us. We know how to do it. We shout and we leap for our lives to some standing. It is you. No, not I. Yes, and no, help us. We say that that thing is loosed from another town over. Oh, tut, tut. Just think, it is ours and is us. What is left for our thing when havoc's in swing? All against all, first among none. Ad libitum. I like the dark and the air through the window, and the lamp on its arm, the one outside, and the one by my right hand clamped to the desk. I like the breeze and the heat it doesn't displace. I like the typing and wish it were writing, and I don't care as much as I should. I like the every so often confusion of sounds, the chair being rubbed by the desk, the cat, a night bird at the feeder, my stomach. I am pleased to roll to the reference bookshelf and to pick over there in the dark the right volume for digestive. My guess at the root was wrong, not gusto for taste, but giro for carry, die for apart, to tear, to divide. Authorities differ, but maybe dividuo, whence widow, widower, to tear in the eye and the heart. Still, words are not poems. What I would like now is to stop. The typing is fun, but it is, after all, writing I want. Still, I am pleased by the sound and the move of the keys, except when they lock. And the carriage is nice on its creak of return. The keys have 3 greens, but it is writing I am after. I like its being my neighbors parking the car, not strangers peering at lives behind windows, some with screens on, but not all with them on. I'll bet it looks romantic at this corner of a dark house, a late night in June, the weather finally in season. I am grateful this house, bequeathed by a family to me, its youngest, now only, has chairs and books all over, so when and in whichever I want, I may sit and read, or sit and write, or sit and sit. The house in repair. You trained me well. When I first moved back, I still felt like a guest in your house. I hired the man, I'm sorry, I need to have a slug. The house in repair. You trained me well. When I first moved back, I still felt like a guest in your house. I hired the man you'd hired, and he'd kept up the lawn much as he'd kept it for you. He cut those last chance hedges twice a summer. Slowly, I changed things. I painted the house first in pinks, and now in a spectrum of orange and brown, with the roof the same. A banker who'd cared that you died told me the roof was a worry to you. But I took my time and am glad. With the old bricking in front, the hole set into the green that she'd planted around us. It's warm and itself and now mine, your house. I chose beautiful paper for the walls, which was hung only half right. I had to buy a new dryer and did. My first repair was just after the day to the last hope glass I smashed with a rock, not knowing you put on a bag once the hedges were done. I'm a PhD now, and the work is so sparse that I cut the lawn and try to, the hedges now over my head and my reach. Ever since the dryer sparked out in a flood, I've hung the washing across the basement. The new sump pump pumps hard, and the window it drains through is patched with some tiling I can almost place from before. Something happened during the painting. The windows now mustn't be opened. The old casement cranks barely work anymore. It's not what you would have fussed over, not paint on the to and fro arms or too thick at the edges. But as if once I'd got it burnished, the house, as I'd done years ago to my peril, in its passing to me shuddered, so as to hold in all of the air that sang once out from you. And I'll end with this. Now I lay me. Over and over and over, baby comes to take on the ogre. She tries the mountain that she dreamt when on rubber sheets she slept. Baby in her big girl bed held the dream as if it said, not fear of something being there, but fear of no one ever near, feared baby. Though not yet knowing life got lived, it was as if she dreamt a gift of future must. Poor baby, could she know how a thing not yet would go? It stayed as truth that dreamt of climb, and then she learned that life was time, and tried to think she was not meant to be, nor was an isolate. Ogre, ogre, life's near over. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. And again, I want to stress, if you don't have her book, If by Song, please purchase it from Lily Poetry Review Books. It's a beautiful book, and I'm in the process of reading it, and I love it. So really, congratulations. And our next reader is Tam Lin Neville. She is the author of Journey Cake, BkMk Press, and Triage by Cervena Barva Press. Her poems and reviews have appeared in Harvard Review, Mademoiselle, American Poetry Review, Ironwood, and Threepenny Review. She co-founded Off the Grid Press and is currently working on a new manuscript. And I give you Tam.
As I said before, I'm very thankful to Gloria and Harris for doing this and getting me to, polish up some poems. And so I'm going to start. I said before, I live very near a dog park, and I'm also, one of the poems that has always stuck in my head since I was a kid was "This is the house that Jack built," so this poem is kind of modeled after "This is the house that Jack built." It's called "In the Dog Park, Corner of Summer and Barrow, where the little dogs hump the big dogs. Praise for the dog park. Praise for the dogs in the dog park. Praise for the puddles in the dog park. Praise for the dogs in the puddles in the dog park. Praise for the mud in the puddles. Praise for the dogs in the mud." And as some of you know, I've spent quite a bit of time volunteering in the Albany Street Shelter, which is a homeless shelter. And so I have a couple poems from there. This one is called, it's from a group of it's from a group of poems called "In the Shelter of the Shelter." And this is a prose poem. With Sean, you never know. He's going downhill. It's hard to watch as he throws his fork on the floor and shoves his face in the pile of spaghetti. Sometimes he comes in like an ape on all fours, emboldened by the drink. Herman, a big black guy, has fun playing poker, saying spells and incantations over the dice, goofing with the other men. Everyone except Butch, who doesn't play around. He's a small guy, smart and mouthy. He only trusts his cane. For Keisha and Christine, all the days are holy. There is a hush about them, their reverence for fear. Keisha has a perfectly round face and wide eyes, light coffee-colored skin. Chris is overweight, as so many here are, so much to carry. Donna quit smoking weeks ago. She wears a patch. It's a new life. She's gained 20 pounds. Her clothes bind her doughy body. She struggles down the aisle with her walker. In the bathroom, the girl who talks to herself in the mirror doesn't hear me say hello. She's transfixed, face to face, smiling and talking to her only friend. Her lips move as she washes her hands. I say hello again. She doesn't hear me. The water runs. She forgets to turn it off and walks out the door. You wish there was a haze so things wouldn't be so clear. And this is also kind of in that same vein. It's called Lady Jane Walks Methadone Mile in the Rain. Their jeers, boos, follow her, play about her hair, ankles. They like her new red boots. Water crosses the whole street. The drains are choked with who knows what, refuse, used, abused, memories and dreams. So many ways through this life, step, by breath. One cigarette lit from another. Lucky's double diamond, yes, sucking a spark from another's breath. I spent some time in a cafe, which is now outdoors, and there are a lot of sparrows there, and they. So this poem is about the sparrows. Okay. Sparrows on my table, sparrows at my feet. Break a crumb for them. Sometimes they're hungry. Sometimes they'd rather be drinking drops from the wires overhead. I'm told that in exotic places they can be brightly colored, but here in this city they are dull and grubby. In parking lots, they pick insects from car grills. They bathe in mud puddles. But watch how they navigate, swerve and slice the narrow corridors between houses. How precise their wings. Sparrows after my crumbs, one's got one, the other none. Is angry, furiously beating its wings. Then, beak to beak, they exchange something. Is it a kiss? I've no more crumbs. One sparrow comes very close. Then he's right up on my table, asking not so politely, "Where's my crumb?" Then he's drinking drops from the wires dripping overhead. Then back on the mud in the puddle. There's no more than a lick of water on the ground. The sparrows hop and bounce, never stiff. It's tiring to watch. I wish my sister were here with me to share this tea, Wish I knew what the sparrows were saying. And I'm going to end with this one. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for being here. It's great. I have a sumac tree in my backyard, and so this is about that tree. It's called My Sumac Tree, and begins in March. Your naked, scrawny grace, looking for love among the treetops. April. Holy Thursday, my sumac is dressed to kill. May. 5 grackles in the sumac tree, 2 flew away, and then there were 3. June. Rose clouds mix with my sumac tree. She's all ruffles in the wind, not accountable. July. No more rock and roll. Today my sumac's sober, wrung out in the rain. August. Shaggy sumac, shaking your skirts at the sky, shameless, shaggy sumac. The tree with the broken arm looks on bitterly. Susie Sumac, are you waiting for me to look at you? This is November. My sumac, dear leaves, forever saying and unsaying, your blooms are now all seeds in the ground. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Tam.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me.
Okay, so our next reader is Bert Stern. He is the author of numerous books, with his latest being What I Got for $1, which was on the small press distribution bestseller list for 4 months. His poems appeared in journals including Southern Review, Columbia, the American Poetry Review, Poetry, and others. Stern is co-founder also Off the Grid Press. And I give you Bert.
This is called Nobody Wants to Be Around. Nobody wants to be around when the preordained asteroid hits or the cities wash into floating seas. But anyone might be, even you and your family and friends, even politicians who've waited so long for it to happen. Don't think the stars will care, or black holes that knew it all the time. So many trees burning already, ice melting, museums dispensing of its treasures to the sea. And I'll read another Catch as Catch Can. Why do I keep returning to sailing ships and the sea? Then I remember. I hold my ticket. Only the date of departure still is blank. I'm quickened by the prospect of adventure on a ship without lifeboats and only a skeleton crew. Someone has placed a gold oval in my mouth to pay for the passage. I feel the rocking of the boat, then feel nothing. For a moment, panic. Where is the feeler? Where the felt? Then peace overwhelming. Tide, neap, tide, low, all bills marked paid. And I'll read a couple from, here's one. I'm curious whether this comes across. It's called 20 Miles Out. Tam's somehow scavenging loose poems from my desk on the floor. 20 miles out. For us, this practical rain, clouds brushing the windshield, a sound of windshield wipers, glisten of headlights, on wet asphalt. Where are we going? Just home. So I got a few more minutes. Okay. This poem is called Scant. It's from a collection. Dear dust in which I'll be infinite, will there be left in you an ort, a single scant of me, a fingernail or yellowed tibia to remember, lips that spoke, hand that holds a pen, path of puzzlement that brought me here to address you? One day will I fall on my loved one as rain? At night, standing on wet grass, will she find me in the winking light of an orphaned star? This next one is called Elegy. The going is more like stopping. The stopping is like dying. The robin doesn't know this, so he sings anyway. Worm sighs, ah well, shelterless, the autumn shiver, the shelterless, the smitten shiver, staring at calm sea. The bear doesn't know this, so he stirs. When I had legs, running on soft mornings that went on forever across the meadow, down the gravel road, along the river where once a blue heron and I startled each other, then past the house where beagles charged me, so I carried stones, and down to the street, past the hardware store, and up the steep path to the rich smith's camp, and along the trail through their fragrant piney woods to the locked gate you can walk around, and down the Johnsbrook Road where its residual roar, with its residual roar that gets louder. As I moved toward the falls itself and stopped there from one side of the bridge, watching the water bounce off boulders in crescendo, and then to the other where it crumbles down over boulders and is already almost quiet when it vanishes around the bend. Here's a favorite. It's called On the Sable, which is my river, as I like to think of it, upstate New York. Windy rush of river after rain. I wobble down the rough path of the bank, propped by love and a broken stick, eyes agog with dappled water. On the cobbled beach, totter over stones, breathe beginnings in sun, stone, water, rock. This poem is called Tea. That clear song, was it you while I slept, slipping down in your jade silk to feed the stove with pine and drink your tea alone at dawn, as you like to do? And I'll end maybe with this one, unless you demand that I read on. It's called Reasons for Not Writing a Poem. Because it can't suck milk from the breast. Birds will not land on it. Dirt tears of cold rivers break over mud banks. No sap in the polished wood. The rage of brothers fighting next door shakes my bedroom walls. I hear wars ram crack a cow just as well as you do, but war and its dead can't read. The trees shush, silences me. Melodies a Syrian woman sings while the torn soldier curses his wound, can't stop the bleeding. The stars burn all night and don't say a word. Don't ask me if I love you. Touch my hand. I'll read the last one, Gloria.
Okay.
Okay, I'll read the last one. This one is silly. It's called Scout. It's not so silly, but it's called Scout. I put my poem in a coonskin hat and send it out to scout. Read their smoke signals. Live on dry pemmican. Off it went like honey in moccasins and deer skin, following deer trails, not breaking a twig. Find signs, I'd ordered. Of what? It wondered. Find signs, I ordered it. I looked up at a cloudless sky. Nothing moved but the slow crowns of trees. Ahead, the trail, an alley through primordial trees. My poem looked down, nothing but dead leaves and duff. Bored, my poem hummed Sweet Betsy from Pike, spat brown juice down at low-lying flowers along the trail. When my poem returned, bearded and gaunt, it saluted me. Sir, nothing to report. But pressed, it fleshed that out, and this was enough. Huh?
I think that's enough.
Tam said it's enough. Thank you all for bearing with me. Don't get old.
Thank you so much. So does anyone have any questions?
Hey, Dad, this is your son.
I don't
Who? I love your both.
know. I can do.
I loved your poems.
Smiling.
I loved all of them.
Smiling at what?
They're happy. They like
It's
you.
Tam.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you, Gloria, and thank everybody for
Thank you.
bearing with me.
So let's give them all a round of applause.
I can't hear anybody. I guess.
Bravo, outstanding
I guess
work.
we're
I hope you can
done.
hear
I
me,
don't know.
Bert. Peter, you're a champ. You're
Anyway.
a champion.
Good night, all.
Great job.
Good night. And I just want to thank Harris and RJ, Wendell, and Peter for all your help tonight. And thank you. And that's it for tonight.
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Night.
Thanks. Yeah, bye.
Night.
Night.